All right, imagine this. You're an 8-year-old kid. You've just been tucked into bed. You've got your blanket pulled up around your chin and you're watching the closet because you know something's about to happen. The same thing that happens every night. And then it does. The door creeps open, the closet door, and out comes this strange elongated figure. And you almost breathe a sigh of relief because her face is in the right place this time. Sometimes it's upside down. Sometimes she's holding her face in her hands and she approaches you and she kneels down to be at your level. And this figure that wants you to call her other mommy. And she asks the same question she asks every night. Can I go inside your heart? Hello, book people. P.T. Hylton here, the author of Found Shadows, among other books. Today we're talking about Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. Came out in July of this year. And I'm just going to say it. It's my favorite horror novel of the year so far. The premise is, as I kind of set up in the intro, an 8-year-old girl named Bella. She is our narrator. It's told in the first person. And she has this strange entity, other mommy, who lives in her closet, lives in other places in her house, and comes out and talks to her when the adults aren't around or aren't paying attention. And at first, this entity seems like it might even be a friend. It might be there to help her. It makes funny faces, makes her laugh. But then it starts asking to go inside of her heart. She starts thinking about what's that mean and asks questions about what that means. She doesn't answer, but the entity is insistent and keeps asking. One thing I loved about this novel is the way it uses its really creepy premise very effectively. It has other mommies show up just enough that it's really, creepy every time that she does, but not too much, not so we get used to her. It does a lot with the premise too. Just one thing that it does very well, and I think it does it 5 times or something throughout the novel, but every time is so effective is eventually other mommy kind of gets the ability to morph into other people. And so there'll be times when Bella is having a conversation with someone and you start to just slowly get that sinking feeling in your gut. Ooh, this might not be the person she thinks it is. This might be other mommy. And it happens enough that I feel like it's not a spoiler to tell you that, because once you start watching for it, it even makes it more creepy to think which of these conversations is real, which is not. I also think that this book could have gone off the rails a little bit if it would have given us too much information about other mommy, especially towards the end. I think it gave us just the right amount that it stayed super creepy. Another thing that's great about it is just the idea of this 8-year-old protagonist and seeing everything through her eyes. And as the story builds, we learn about her parents, her mom and dad. She doesn't have any siblings, but her grandmother becomes involved in the story. And there's some very adult stuff going on in her family. Her parents are going through some stuff. It's really interesting to see it. It's almost like we're seeing the reflection of a reflection, because we're seeing this adult situation through the eyes of Bella, who doesn't fully understand what's going on. But yet, even though it's filtered through her, we kind of understand it better than she does. And so it just makes for really interesting dynamics. And as the family kind of gets drawn into this other mother situation, it really is a question. Is this going to tear this family apart that's kind of already on the brink, or is it going to bring them closer together? And the way that plays out is very interesting. I think any time you're dealing with this theme of children facing adult situations and the potential loss of innocence along with that, but the innocence that they bring to the situation, and does that make the situation better or worse for the adults involved, is really interesting. And this book does that and looks at that from a few different angles, bringing in both the supernatural element and the kind of domestic stuff that's going on. And it's just really interesting. And I've never seen a ghost story, if you will, that explores quite these topics from quite these angles that this story does. So I thought that was very effective. I'm not normally a guy who's like, every great horror novel, ooh, this needs to be a movie or whatever. But there's something about this that's just very visual, very creepy, and I could see this being a super effective horror movie. I know Josh Malerman's got a lot going on with his Hollywood work. He's got, of course, he had Bird Box, and I believe he has a partner, the producing partner that he works with on a lot of this stuff. So I really hope that they are able to bring this one to life, because I think it could be a very creepy movie. I'm also interested to hear from those of you who've read it without giving anything away. I'm very curious to see what people think of the ending. I like the ending a lot, but I could see where it would be potentially divisive for people. So if you've read this book, I'd be curious to know what you thought of it. Maybe sound off a little bit in the comments below, while not completely spoiling it for those who have not read it. So that's Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. Again, highly recommended. My favorite horror novel of the year so far. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time. And until then, keep turning pages.